1920s. It was a global cooling thing. But now they got smart. It's climate change. Because climate change, if it goes warm, it's good. If it goes cool, it doesn't matter what it rains, if it snows, if you have more tornadoes or less tornadoes. You know, I read about some bad tornadoes, and we do have bad tornadoes. But the worst tornado was in 1987. The worst tornado was in the 1800s. They say 1857 ripped the hell out of the country. In 1893, we had a series of tornadoes that made these look like babies. Now, that's only reporting, you know, who knows, but they were very serious. It's cold weather. The risk is weaponry. The risk is nuclear warming. And we have to be careful. And we need our smartest people to head this up. My uncle was a professor at MIT, the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT, Dr. John Trump. And Dr. John Trump told me many years ago, I was a little boy, just like that beautiful kid over there. I wasn't as good-looking as him, but other than that, but I was the same age. And you know what? He told me, I said, what do you mean, Uncle John? No, someday he knew nuclear better than anybody. You know, when he graduated from MIT, they said, would you do us a favor, become a professor? And because he was so smart. And he said, well, I'd like to think about it, but he did. And he was there for 41 years. He's the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT. He used to tell me about nuclear many years ago when I was a little boy. He said, someday you'll have a bomb that can do destruction, the likes of which nobody can even imagine. And I won't tell you what he said in terms of the power, but he would say just that, and then he'd go into some more details. And I said, no way, Uncle John, no way. No, he said, yes, that will be. And he was very worried about it. That's your threat, and we don't even talk about it. We never even met. Can you imagine this guy saying global warming is the greatest threat to our country? Global warming is fine. In fact, I heard it was going to be very warm today. It's fine. It's fine. I believe that, and we were united. I'll tell you, during that period of time, just prior to COVID coming in, I was with Tony Fabrizio and John McLaughlin, two of the great pollsters, and there are good pollsters. You know, we have a lot of fake pollsters, like we have a lot of fake news. They are fake news in a sense. But by the way, did you see? We had a poll last week, Rasmussen, which is a good poll. That's only good because I like them. You know, they happen to be good. If they were bad, like 2 months from now, I'd say they're terrible. But the Rasmussen poll is a big deal. It's a really good poll, and they have us up 10 points on this guy. 10 points. That's pretty good. And a friend of mine who's very smart, but he's not really into politics. He said, could I ask you a question? Why is 10 points good? You mean he's going to get 40 points? I said, you have to understand, the Democrats basically get 40 points. It doesn't matter. If this lectern was running for office, it would get 40. Actually, Joe, that's true. They get 40 automatically. The Republicans have to do it the old-fashioned way. We have to earn it. We have to do like in 2016. We have to do really like 2020. You know, we got many millions of more votes in 2020 than we got in 2016. We did actually much better. But it was rigged. What are you going to do? But you know what? We're not going to let that happen again. We're not letting that happen. They used COVID to cheat. They did everything possible to cheat. And Hillary Clinton said, why didn't you do that to me? Why didn't you find those votes for me like you found for Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? Ready? Poll. What's a better name? I go Crooked Joe first, and then Crooked Joe Biden or Sleepy Joe Biden? Ready? Crooked Joe first. Who likes Crooked Joe Biden first? Okay. Who likes Sleepy Joe Biden? Similar. Okay, let's do it again. Crooked Joe Biden. Sleepy Joe Biden. Crooked. The other time, last week I did that. You know, I like saving money. You go to these pollsters, they interview. I don't even think they interview them, to know the truth. I think they just say they interview because they make money. I don't even think they interview. But they say they interview like 243 people, and they tell you what's going to happen with the race, right? And then they want to charge you $500,000. Politicians know this. And I come to these rallies, and I do my own polls. We have 25,000 people or something here today. I get a free poll. It's a free poll. Okay, here's another one. Who likes Governor Glenn Youngkin? That's the end of that. I don't know who to put against him because there's nobody going to win. Anyway, well, you're right. But we were a truly united country, and I believe that we can be a very great country again. It's going to be stronger. It's going to be more glorious. It's going to be better than ever. We're going to make our country better than ever. Our mission must start with restoring safety to America. One of the most disturbing lies out of Crooked Joe's mouth in our debate last night was when he denied anything having to do with the border. Anything having to do with the border. He said the border is such a lovely place, letting massive numbers of terrorists pour into our country. Just 2 days ago, news reports revealed that while Biden was taking his 10-day rest and study period, it was a rest and study. Where is he going to be? I love Camp David, by the way. I'm not a rustic person. I don't love rustic look, but I loved it. You had to see this place. I started to love it. Very seductive. You go up these log cabins. They're so beautiful, the best. And I'd see FDR, pictures of FDR and pictures of the great presidents, and it was so historic and so incredible. But I'm not sure he has any idea what the history is. He just likes a log cabin. He wants to lock himself in. He wants a place to sleep, okay? Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. I want to sleep. I'm studying for the debate. I want to sleep and study. That's all I'm going to do for 10 days while the world is going to hell. But he had a study period at Camp David. While more than 50 terrorists, 55 to be exact, were running into the United States after Biden allowed them to cross our wide-open southern border. Crooked Joe has no idea where they are, what kind of slaughter they intend to commit, but you will bet anything. ISIS terrorists, 55 of them last week. ISIS terrorists, the worst in the world. By the way, I defeated ISIS, you know that, with General Kane, right? Raisin Kane, you know that story, Raisin Kane. He was great general, real general, not the television. We have a lot of television generals, they're no good. Like Milley. How about Milley? We had some, like the dumbest of them all, General Kelly. He didn't know. He was lost in the White House. That poor guy didn't know what the hell was happening. He was like a lost, we used to call him a lost soul. Under the Trump administration, we will not rest until we have found every single radical Islamic terrorist who Joe Biden has let into America. We will arrest them or we will throw them the hell out of our country immediately, and we will not let them back in. We have no choice. And already Biden's open border nightmare has stolen countless innocent lives. Yesterday in Houston, you read about this. 12-year-old Jocelyn Nunguri was laid to rest by her grieving mother, who I spoke to yesterday. Incredible woman, just devastated. Literally, I was going up to the debate, and I got the return call from the mother. And I talked to her, and they're screaming at me, "Sir, you're going to the debate. You're going right now, sir." You know, and I'm on the phone, and I said, "I can't, I might be late." But that's okay. But I said, I will. I did talk to her, and then I said, I'll speak to you, and I'm going to call her today or tomorrow. A devastated person. She was a devastated person, but her precious daughter became yet another victim of the Biden migrant crime. People that would have never come in here. In fact, a lot of these people that you're reading about, we threw them out. They were gone, and they came back under Biden. Last week, Jocelyn was savagely tied up, viciously assaulted, and brutally murdered by two Biden migrants who Crooked Joe released into the United States to prey on our women and girls. One of these monsters waited just 20 days before ending Jocelyn's beautiful American life. Crooked Joe proved last night he has no regret, no remorse, had no idea who she was, no empathy and no compassion for all the innocent victims whose lives have been just absolutely destroyed. And you look at so many of the other young people that you're hearing about. So many of them are young, 13, 12, raped and killed. 13 years old, 12 years old, raped and killed. And remember this, I say this a lot. This is just starting because they're just getting comfortable in the country. They never heard about politically correct law enforcement. We have the greatest police in the world, but they're not allowed to do their job. And we're going to let them do their job. And we're going to give them immunity so they can't be prosecuted for doing their job. Joe Biden inherited a great border because I fixed it. Remember, I fixed it in 2016. I got elected because of the border. But that border was nothing compared to what we have. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I fixed it. It was a big deal. And I would say it was probably one or two in terms of my points that I had a lot of things. But the border was a big deal. It was a bad border. I fixed it. So much so that I couldn't even speak about it during the 2020 race because nobody cared about it anymore because it was fixed. So he inherited a perfect border, and he proceeded to destroy it almost immediately. He destroyed it at a level that nobody could even believe, but many times worse than it was in 2016. I'd love, I have a chart. I don't know if these guys don't know about this, but I have a chart that if they could find it, put it up, because there's one little stat on this chart. Oh, wow. These guys have become good. It used to take a day to get that chart. They'd say, "Sir, we'll have it up tomorrow." I said, "Tomorrow's not going to help me, Glenn." So you see the arrow, Glenn, on the bottom. See the arrow, the big red arrow on the bottom? That's the lowest level of illegal immigration ever in recorded history, right there. That's the week that I left office. And look what happened after that. Look at the numbers on the right. Look at what happened after that. So that was the lowest level, and then it started marching upward. But what you don't see are the drugs. We're at the lowest level in 32 years. The human trafficking, mostly in women. They traffic in women, and that's now back at a level that we've never even seen or imagined before. But I love that chart. That chart is just a small chart in with other numbers, like poll numbers and things that are so impressive, even fundraising. We raised more money after this crooked trial than we've ever raised, I think, than any candidate. I think we raised over $400 million. Can you believe it? I would say if we did 10 million, it would be a lot. During this period, 10 million is a lot of money. They raised over $400 million during this very short period of time. A little period of time. If we would have done like 8 or 9 or 10, it would have been great. But they did numbers that because everyone knows they're a bunch of crooked people. These are crooked people using justice to try and win an election. But I'm proud of that chart. It was in with other things that are very important. But there's something about the importance of this that I really thought we could show it. And sometimes we'll take it out, show it to some of these big crowds. When I return to the White House, we will stop the plunder, rape, slaughter, and destruction of American suburbs, cities, and towns. And for the suburban women, who I actually think vote for me, I think that's, they say... They say the suburban women. What, you saw Biden, you like Biden? Yeah. The suburban women, you know why they like me? Because I'm going to keep them safe. I'm going to keep them safe. We're going to keep them safe. And I think it's fake. I think we do great with suburban women, but I always read, he's trying to get the suburban women. No, I think they like me because I'm going to keep them safe. Militarily, and also from the standpoint of borders and everything else, we will shut down deadly sanctuary cities. I will shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement. And on day one, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. And we have no choice. Have no choice. And as we discussed last night with Crooked Joe, the Biden border invasion has also been a disaster. And I say it, and I'll say it again. For the African-American, Hispanic-American communities more than anybody else, virtually all of the net jobs created have gone to Biden migrants. Who would think that? I heard that a week ago. I said, you got to give me that stat. Almost every job, did you know that? It's hard to believe, actually. Almost every new job has gone to illegal immigrants. Joe Biden wants to be the president for illegal aliens, and I want to be the president for Americans of every background, every walk of life, every race, religion, color, and creed. And remember, Joe Biden used the term super predators. He used it for 10 years. He used it more than anybody else. That's not a man that likes black people. I will tell you, that's not a man. Super predator. Ask him about it. I brought it up last night. He went, oh. Super predator, ask him. And honestly, only black people know what that term represents. 1990s, Joe Biden, super predator for 10 years. Every day, more African Americans and Hispanic Americans are joining our movement, and that's one of the major reasons that we're going to win the Commonwealth of Virginia this fall. And our case to Virginia is very simple. We will seal the border. We will make the American dream affordable again, but we will bring back the American dream, something you don't hear about anymore. You're going to have the American dream back. Working with your great governor, Glenn Youngkin, we will make Virginia greater than it has ever been before. On up here. They come from a place called North Carolina. We all love North Carolina. And this is their 127th rally. And it's hard to believe. I seldom see their husbands, but they're happily married. I said, are you all happily married? They love their husbands. You love your husbands? They put up with a lot, huh? No, they're very happily married women, but it's 127. But I'll tell you, front row Joes even have that. They're about 200 and something, right? They must have made a lot of money somewhere along the line. Do my people treat you good? Huh? They better treat you good. Front row Joes, they become very famous. The question every voter should be asking themselves today is not whether Joe Biden can survive a 90-minute debate performance, but whether America can survive 4 more years of crooked Joe Biden in the White House. In fact, I don't know if we can really survive 5 more months. This is the most dangerous time in the history of our country, in my opinion, and we have a transition period because hopefully there has to be a transition. We've never been so close to World War III before, and if it happens, it will be a war like no other. This because of the threat of certain types of weapons. We don't even want to mention the word, but because of the type of weapons that you're talking about today, and I know them better than anybody. You know, I built our military. I totally rebuilt our military. I know more about weapons than just about anybody. And when you look at the incredible destructive power of these weapons, this will be a war like no other. This will not be 2 army tanks running against each other and shooting. This is going to be something the likes of which we've never seen. And a man who's grossly incompetent heading up our nation, and he's competing against Putin and President Xi of China and Kim Jong-un of North Korea. He's competing against people that are at the top of their game, and he was never really at the top of his game. He was never very good, but now he's really not good. Last night was a defeat not only for Biden, but for the entire radical left Democrat Party and the fake news media, who have been lying to the American people as our country was being destroyed. The fake news media, look at all of them back there. Look at all of them. That's a lot of cameras. That's a lot of cameras. That's a lot of camera power. The Joe Biden on stage yesterday was the same Joe Biden who gave us open borders, crushing inflation, rampant crime, 2 new wars, a disastrous Afghanistan embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, and the international humiliation. Think of it, one after another, international humiliation, one after another. Nobody respects him. Foreign leaders don't respect him. You know, we put up $124 billion more given to Ukraine than Europe. Now, Europe is a lot closer. We have a thing called an ocean in between us, right? So no matter how you cut it, it's got to be more important. Why is it that we're not equalized? Why is it that they put up $124 billion, our people, these people in Washington that don't know what the hell they're doing? You know, I stopped it with NATO. We were spending almost 100% of the money for NATO. And I went in my first meeting, I realized, I said, you know, they're not paying their bills. They're delinquent. My second meeting, I said, you got to pay. And they said, well, what would happen if we don't? Then we won't defend you against Russia. And the next day, money came in by the billions. You never saw money come in so fast, Glenn. The money was pouring in. And I took a lot of heat, Michael. There's Mike Waltz. He knows better than anybody on this subject. He's the all-time. He's the all-time. But am I right? The money came in like at a level that was never seen. Hundreds of billions of dollars poured in. And then I took heat from the press because they said, no, I will not defend you if you're not current. And they said, well, that's not very nice. I said, it's not nice. Now, if I said I will, they wouldn't have paid, right? I suspect. But I took a lot of heat. But the fact is, the Secretary General called it the greatest. He's never seen anything like it, because Bush would come in, make a speech and leave. Obama would come in, make a speech and leave. And then I came in and I didn't make a speech. I just said, these guys aren't paying their bills. They're not paying their bills. I don't want to make a speech until they pay their bills. But they asked me, will you defend us if we don't pay? I said, no, I will not defend you. We're not stupid anymore. And $400 billion came pouring in. You never saw money pouring in so fast. The whole world should know that while Biden is the worst president in the history of America, our country is going to be strong again, and it's going to be very soon. I want the enemies to know that, because we have a 5-month transition period, and I want the enemies to know, don't play around with us during this 5-month period. Don't play around. It's only for them. It's also from, in all fairness, we have enemies on the outside, China, Russia, North Korea, enemies, but they're not really enemies if you have a smart president. If you have a smart president, they're not enemies. You'll make them do great. We had no problems. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars, and it was so because they respected our country. Thank you very much. He said they respected you. Thank you. Stand up, please. Who said that? Stand up. Because they respected us. You said it better than I could. Thank you. I plagiarized. Thank you. No, they respect us. There was no games. But we have the enemy on the outside, and you can do great things with them. And then we have a worse enemy. I call it the enemy from within. These are the sick people, the socialists. Remember I said, America will never be a socialist country. I was right. I was right. It skipped over socialism, went directly into fascism and communism. It never stopped at the station called socialism. It went worse. And that's a big problem that we have, but I think you're starting to see the end of that. And it's been starting for a while now with us, but I think last night was a big moment for people with common sense that want to see America be great again, want to put America first. Many people are saying that after last night's performance that Joe Biden is leaving the race. But the fact is, I don't really believe that, because he does better in polls than any of the Democrats they're talking about. You've seen that, Len. These polls come out with some of the names they're being, like Gavin Newsom. He can't run California. He's one of the worst governors. No, he's a bad governor. He can't run California. People are leaving. One of the most beautiful places on earth. In terms of weather, in terms of everything else, you can't do any better than California. He's doing a terrible job. But he gets up and he says, oh, California's doing great, like a machine gun, But it's doing bad. People are leaving so fast, and he'd be easy. But he's got lousy poll numbers. And you take a look at some of the others. Then, of course, Kamala is somebody that will be on the scope. It might have been Joe Biden's single best decision, putting her as vice president. Might have been his best, because nobody wants that. I do. I'd be very happy with that. But they don't poll as well as this guy. I mean, I don't want to speak against myself, but maybe... and they polled everybody. They polled Michelle Obama. She polls very badly. No, she polls terribly. Michelle Obama, people, you know, they poll many people. And it's hard to believe, but crooked Joe Biden polls better than those people. So I don't know what's going to happen. I have absolutely no idea. I just know that we're going to make America great again. That's a good-looking group back there. Better looking than front row Joes. You know what happens? You think they don't have a good seat. They actually have the best seat. Because oftentimes, the cameras are on them. The cameras aren't on you. And I'm making a speech, and they have all this stuff. It's all over the world, and a lot of them get picked. Would you like to come to Hollywood? You'd be amazed how many people. They see some of these beautiful faces, and they say, let's move them to Hollywood. They have the best seat. They don't know it, but they do. Okay, I don't want to point to too many of them. Get myself in trouble. But remember, the biggest problem for our country is not Joe Biden's personal decline. It's that Joe Biden's policies are causing America's decline at a level that we've never seen before. That's why this November, the people of Virginia and the people of America are going to tell crooked Joe Biden, Biden, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. Get out. We don't want you. You've been the worst president in the history of our country. We don't want you. Get the hell out of here. But we don't just need to fire Biden. As you saw yesterday, the whole Democrat Party deserves to be voted out of office. You have some great people. You have some great people in this state. And the reason I'm honored to be with you, Governor, who's here, just made a really fantastic speech. I saw it coming in. I'm flying in on my plane. I'm watching him speak. I said, what a beautiful crowd that is. But he just made a great speech, because what he says turns out to be right. He's got common sense. He's got great policy. He's got the policy that made America great. Now America is in decline because they have people that are going against those basic policies. But he's got the policy that made America great. And I'll call him up. I just said to him, do you want to come up? I know you just spoke for 45 minutes. Will you want to come up? And I said, come on up. You know, so he's going to come up in a couple of seconds. As far as I'm concerned, he can say it all again. He can say it all again. But we're proud of him. He's done a great job. Time and again, Joe Biden revealed how extreme and divisive the radical left Democrats have become. Before your very eyes, crooked Joe endorsed unlimited, extreme, late-term abortion up to the moment of birth. And even after the, think of this, and even death after a baby is born. And I always am very clear about this when I say the governor of Virginia. I always go back and say the former governor, because you don't want to be tied into this. But the former governor, that was, I call him Michael Jackson. Remember? His wife saved him. He was going to moonwalk. He was trying to say why he wore blackface, and he was going to moonwalk across the stage. And that's when his wife finally put down her foot. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're already destroyed us. You've destroyed us. Don't do it. Remember, she stopped him, because nobody can moonwalk like Michael Jackson, the greatest people. So this would not have been a pretty scene. But he said that, and you can see it. I mean, they have tapes on it. He said the baby is born. Yes, the baby is born, and then we make a decision on what to do with the baby. And there's some states that allow that. It's not even believable. But think of that. But Biden celebrates throwing his political opponents in jail. He bragged about surrendering our energy independence and all of the other things that he's done in favor of China and India and other countries. And he claimed that the strength of our economy comes not from hardworking Americans, but from illegal aliens, where almost all of our new jobs have gone to illegal aliens. You know that? And just remember I said this, because this is a disaster waiting to happen. You know, we're doing very well with the black and Hispanic vote. We're doing very well with the union vote. like record numbers, because we've done a lot. We've done criminal justice reform. We've saved the historically black colleges and universities. We had great economic development programs with Tim Scott. Opportunity zones, it's called. It's probably the most successful opportunity. I mean, it's the most incredible thing. And that's gone largely to black, Hispanic people. It's been great. So we've done a lot. But, you know, the worst thing that's happening to black, number one, Hispanic, number two, unions, number three, is the millions of people pouring into our country. They're taking their jobs. And they're taking the black jobs. People that have had their jobs for a long time are losing their jobs. And Hispanic jobs, people that have had them for a long time, they're losing their jobs. And you know who else is the biggest loser? Is going to be the unions. The unions, like the Teamsters. I have such respect for Sean. He's the head of the Teamsters. I don't want to throw around names, but he's a good man. And I don't know, I think, you know, we're at 89% approval within the Teamsters union. And I use Teamsters when I build buildings in Manhattan. They do unbelievable. They take the concrete trucks, and there's nobody can wheel a truck. These guys are incredible. And, you know, maybe we get lucky. Maybe somebody's smart, you know, when they have 89% approval and then they endorse, because for 50 years they endorse automatically. It's almost like automatic. They endorse the Democrat. But I think maybe the Teamsters go with us. You know, when you have a vast majority on your side, and then the person that did it, Hoffa did it last time, and he ended up getting sort of thrown out of the union. But I think they have some good leadership. I think a lot of unions are coming our way. But the